Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel and welcome back to another video. So today is June the 8th and the kids and I are doing a June freezer challenge. What that means is we are using the meat that we have in our outside garage freezer and inside our kitchen refrigerator freezer so that we are turning over the stock that we have. I'm an avid couponer and I have a lot of meat in my freezers because I like to get a good deal. However, during the month of June and the months of June and July, I do not get a paycheck, so we're always a little bit tighter for groceries. So I'm trying to use up what we have as well as turn over the stock, so we don't just have a lot of meat in the freezer just for the sake of having the meat. We're using it, and then as we grocery shop in July and August, we'll begin slowly building back up our meat stores. So the kids and I are making 2 recipes from the Southern Keto Cookbook. If you are new to my channel, hey you guys, how y'all doing? My name is Shakima. I am a single mom of 4 kids. I have 2 girls and I have 2 boys. We have a fur baby and we have just added in 1 grandma. So we are pretty full at the end and we are doing what we do best. So I started a keto journey, ketogenic lifestyle about 10 months ago, and I'm currently down to 196.4. Well, that's where I was on Wednesday of this past week. It is Saturday. I did not get a chance to do an update this week. It was too much. So I am living a ketogenic lifestyle. If you are doing keto, I would definitely tell you Southern Keto Cookbook is a game changer. It was for me. There are some really good cookbooks out there and I have not read them all, so there could be one that's better. I just know for this Southern country girl, this book works for me. Today we're going to be doing cheeseburger soup and we're also going to be doing cornbread. And so that's going to have me using up a couple of items out of my pantry. Out of my freezer. I'm going to be using 1 pound of ground pork. I'm also going to be doing a pound of ground beef. We are doubling the recipe and we are mixing the meat. So I'm doing 1 beef, 1 pork, and then I'm also going to be using some peppers and onions from the freezer and a bag of cauliflower. So we're gonna just kind of be cooking along and chit-chatting as we work on our June freezer challenge.
I'll make the cornbread.
Okay.
You like it?
It was lovely. So Alana's going to make the cornbread. She's actually a very good cook. I'm going to be adding in my ingredients, but I'm going to chit chat with you about the freezer challenge. Some people are doing, I'm counting my butter. Some people are doing a pantry challenge and not a freezer challenge. We have very few pantry items because on a ketogenic lifestyle, I buy a lot of fresh produce now. Way more than I ever did before, fresh or frozen, whichever my budget allows. I'm in a group called Frugal Family Food Community on Facebook. It was started by Amanda from The Fundamental Home and also Tangi from Freedom Homestead. So from that group, I actually went into another group called Frugal Family Food Low Spin Challenge. And the ladies and I are really active in that group this month because I'm not doing a low spend where I'm trying to see how much less of my budget I can spend every month. But what I am doing is I am just using up items from my freezer. So we've been doing live videos over there. There's a couple ladies that have been very active, sharing ideas, sharing menu ideas. I also have a Google sheet that I created with just some meal ideas. If you're interested in that Google sheet, if you'll send me your Gmail address, it must be a Gmail because it's a Google sheet. I'd be happy to share with you my meal ideas. So they are keto meals, but you can adjust that to any type of meal plan that you are on. One of the things we're trying to do, again, like I said, is not to just have food, but to use the food that we do have in our freezers. It's a way of, yes, I do some stock up shopping, but I also want to use what I have
and not just stock up for the sake of stocking up. Because really you have to ask yourself, what's the point? What's the plan? What's the purpose of the stock up? Well, sometimes, like in June and July, we don't always have a lot of extra money because I don't get a full paycheck. What I have to do is I have my bank pull out a certain amount of money every month for 10 months, which is how many months of the year I work. And then they split that money in June and in July, and that's how much we have to live off. So it is a little bit challenging because we don't have as much in those months as we would during a regular month. So again, I stock up during the year so that I can have food stores during the summer months. Last year, soon as school started, about 2 weeks after school started here, so right around September, our area was hit with Hurricane Florence. And normally, where I live on my part of town, we generally get our power back within hours. But this time during Hurricane Florence, our power was out for 10 days. The kids and I were evacuated, but we lost everything in our fridges and our freezers. And that was it's tough to come back from that when you're talking about hundreds, literally, of dollars of food, because I am a couponer. I will get a deal. I can sniff a deal. So anywho, I didn't want that to happen to us because we're actually just going into hurricane season again. And it's June. And, you know, we're getting all the alerts, all the things. So I just wanted to make sure that the kids and I had what we needed. And that we were using all of, you know, the items that we needed. So I'm going to do add some other things in here. Alright, you guys, so the hamburger soup, cheeseburger soup is done. I just put the cream and the cheese and all the things to finish this out. We have some hard-boiled eggs that I bought last week that we have not used. And I do not want to have food waste. So one of the things I'm going to do, and I know you can't see my face, it's not important. What I'm doing is important. Is I'm going to make some egg salad. So I'm just going to pop in. There are 5 left, so we only ate 1. And I do know that my mom likes egg salad. So I have one of these old-fashioned granny choppers, is what I call it, because my granny had one. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and chop up the eggs. And I'm just going to make them small enough, just bite size. You know, I don't want the yolks to be too big or the whites to be too big. But I do want them to be chopped up nice and not too fine, because I don't want egg mush, which is really, you know, you end up with that anyway. To this, I'm going to add in a little bit of salt, because you got to salt stuff, right? That's a couple twists of the salt, and then I'm just going to stir it around just a little bit. Now I'm going to add in some mayo. This may not be exactly keto mayo, but it's the mayo that we have, and I'm using up what we have. So this is Duke's. I probably had a coupon, I'm sure, when I bought it. So that's what we have, is what I'm using. I'm going to try to get all of it out as best as I can, because again, we're trying to use up what we have in the house. Even though we're still grocery shopping each week, I do want to make good use of the things that we already have. And then I'm going to take some sweet relish, but this is the sugar-free from Mount Olive. I'll do a couple tablespoons of this. And then just stir. probably a tablespoon and a half would have worked out as well. So now what we have is a batch of egg salad. That'll probably get a couple, you know, a couple people can have a taste of that, a little side. So that's one way not to have food waste. And we're getting ready to grab some dinner. All right, friends, so I was trying to give you a view of my computer screen, and it's too bright with just the white background. I am going to just share with you what I'm doing. Since I'm doing the freezer challenge, I created an inventory sheet that we took on May the 19th. And so what I have done is everything that we've used so far, we've gone ahead and made sure we didn't put it on this inventory for now. So what I'm gonna do is it just tells me if it's in the house freezer or the garage freezer, the total number of that item that I have, and then I have 3 columns for the date that I used it. So as I'm going through, I'm going to know that I have used up a certain amount of items. So today, just today, I used cauliflower. I had 1 in my in-house fridge. So I'm gonna put 6, 8, 19. And then what I'm gonna do in the column that has the number, I'm gonna strike it through because I only had 1. So I already used that one. And then I'm gonna look over here on my garage freezer. I have another cauliflower and I used 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and mark that out, and then I'm going to mark through it that I have already used that for, so I'll know that it's off. The next thing I used was ground beef. And so I'm going to change this number now to 2. Well, I'm gonna leave it at 3. Say that I used 1. So when I put the number 6, 8, 19 beside it, I'm gonna now just put my new number of I only have 2 left. And then I'm gonna adjust my column here, okay. So let's see, I used ground beef, and let me go down and see if I can find ground pork because I used pork as well. I see pork roast. Do I see ground beef? Actually, I'm going to leave that ground beef and use the one in the fridge. So I'm gonna say 6, 8, 19. That's gonna give me 1 remaining in the fridge. And then that still leaves me 3 in the garage. So I'm gonna keep it that way. What else am I going to put off of this list? So I also used ground pork, which I'm trying to find, and I don't see it on here. I see ground beef, see ground chicken, but I don't see my ground pork, and I'm sure it's on here somewhere. Ground beef, ground chicken. Well, I'm going to put it in ground pork and then mark that I used it. So that way I'm just keeping a good count of the items that I have in my freezer. I also had broth. I used 6 bags of broth. So right here I have 15 bags on my inventory, but on 6, 8, 19, I used 6 bags. So that leaves me 9 remaining. And I want to make sure that I log that. So overall, the challenge is going well with the fact that I'm able to keep up with my inventory, what I have, what I've used, all those types of things. The only other thing that I didn't do that I want to go back and do is to update my Google Calendar to make sure that I have all of my meals on my calendar so I can see what we're going to eat. Actually, and then if I'm looking at my calendar for today or yesterday, I had Philly cheesesteak pizza. We didn't have Philly cheesesteak pizza. So I'm gonna fix that. We had keto snacks because we had a movie night. And then I'm going to adjust what I had. We didn't have any of this leftover. We did use the leftover pork, but we had zucchini fries. We had jalapeno popper dip. We had mini quesadillas, and we also had sweet cheddar brats. And I'm trying to think, did we have anything else? And we used the meat that we had left over to make loaded zucchini fries. So that's actually what we had. We had loaded zucchini fries. and they were very lovely. So I'm just going to make sure that I make that mention. And then tonight, which is actually the 8th, and I didn't put in a meal for us at all, we are having cheeseburger soup. And I'm going to make myself a note that this was a double batch. And then I'm going to change my color to the tangerine color like I had used other half for Sunday lunch. And then tomorrow night, we're going to have roasted chicken. So I'm just going to fill out and update my sheet so that I will know roasted chicken, and I'm not sure what meat we'll have with that, but I just want to make sure that I know we'll probably have loaded broccoli with that, maybe. That I have a running total of what I'm cooking, what I'm using, all of the things. So that is how we're working this June freezer challenge. I've got my meal going on the stove. I hope that you are seeing how we're doing things and how we're using up things and tracking and accounting for these. So after this week, at the end of next week, I'll give you a running total of what we have used up so far in the month of June and how we're moving forward. So anywho, thank you guys so much for stopping by our channel, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.